Hi, my name is Mark Assendorf. I'm Managing Director of Marmel Enterprises. My talk today is on the reflections, experiences and lessons learned during the building of the Darwin City Geotrail. Firstly, I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional owners of Darwin and the surrounding lands, the Larrakia people. My presentation today will cover motivations and drivers, past lessons and influences, the site selection and themes, and how these are being threaded together in the integrated Darwin City Geotrail narrative. I'll also cover the technology selection and the ambition versus the practicalities of getting the Darwin City Geotrail to a publishable state. The Darwin City Geotrail evolved through a lack of geotourism in the Northern Territory. It's not a common concept up here, and certainly not as established as it is down south or overseas. Yet there's an amazing geological history upon which the story of Darwin City and the top end unfolds, extending back 2.5 billion years. There's also significant Aboriginal, Western and military history and influences, and of course, the environmental appeal of a tropical city. And Darwin itself is a modern, vibrant and adapting city with an interesting story worth telling and promoting. The Darwin City Geotrail also came about through the interest, resources and the determination of myself as the Darwin City Geotrail creator. And I was hoping it would generate more interest in Darwin, its history and evolution, and geotourism generally, and further development in the Northern Territory. I was also hoping to encourage others, particularly those in the Northern Territory, with future geotrail development. A family holiday in 2019 to Canada and Singapore demonstrated that geotourism succeeds where it integrates into wider tours and multiple themes are explored. Information is easily accessible for visitors to follow up on their interests, and technology usage is appropriate to the intended audience. Geotourism also is further enhanced where First Nations and their relationships to place is evident, and history and culture are celebrated, and the visitor experience is diversified. Where appropriate, don't be afraid to check it up, particularly where the audience is younger and tech savvy. And as I learned in Singapore, making your own attractions is always an option. These points are also summarised in an online presentation I delivered in August 2019 at the SEGRA conference in Barooga, Cobram, Barooga, and it's available at the link shown there. Lastly, I continue to be inspired by geotrail developments which are occurring in other parts of Australia. As a blank canvas, I had 9 objectives for the Darwin City Geotrail. First and foremost, it had to be a walking trail in the central business district of Darwin. And I wanted to highlight a variety of historical, cultural and natural experiences and attractions. I wanted to feature the 1.8 billion year old geological formations and other evidence that is evident in the CBD and parts of the greater Darwin region. And I wanted to provide a mixture of the natural and built environments to promote established Darwin attractions. I wanted the geotrail to have a logical start and finish, but be modular to align with user interests, to be informative and engaging for residents and visitors alike, and be adaptable for the future, particularly around future planned geotrail extensions. For these reasons, I selected the Esplanade, the Central Business District and the waterfront precincts, as they are a scenic and diverse part of the city. The 6.5 kilometre route is generally along flat terrain, partially shaded and can be completed in a couple of hours. It's also got access to facilities for user comfort. The recommended start and finish point is an accessible location, and the geotrail themes tend to run from old to new and natural to built environment from start to finish. Sections of the geotrail can be omitted based on user interests. The technology used were included a Garmin InReach GPS for site and route acquisition, and I used my iPhone camera for site images. I digitised published maps which were available through Creative Commons, and used online and offline research to supplement the information within the GeoTrail. For data processing and compilation, I used a combination of MS Office products and the Esri ArcGIS Desktop 10.7.1. I didn't make an app for this particular GeoTrail, instead have got it hosted through ArcGIS Online, and it is available as it currently stands at the following address. The Darwin City GeoTrail was a lesson in compromise. The final product is functional, but is in short of the intended original vision. Several sites of interest were originally scoped to include augmented and virtual reality content, and two in particular I had in mind included the Goyters Survey campsite and Site 11, the Bennett Park Lookout, where users get their first elevated glimpse of Darwin Harbour. They remain potential future development inclusions. Resource constraints and uncertainty over the locally unproven concept of geotourism and geotrails prevented other more ambitious content and experience inclusions, and they remain on hold for now. The Darwin City GeoTrail was a lesson in consultation and engagement. The Darwin City GeoTrail grew incrementally as time and resources allowed, but input and advice from various friends and family refined the GeoTrail to its current state. Their contribution is gratefully acknowledged. However, post-COVID-19 funding constrained the development of the Darwin City GeoTrail, and my desire to deliver a functional GeoTrail was why I committed to the do-it-myself approach to get the concept out there into the public domain and hopefully to inspire others. It's already providing insights. Since its launch about 4 months ago, it's had over 1,200 views, the most of which was 178 on the 30th of August. There's been a surprising 50-50 split between desktop and mobile, and I did expect a higher mobile percentage usage. And social media has directed 43% of traffic to the Darwin City GeoTrail, of which 85% has been via Facebook and 15% via LinkedIn. The majority of users are listed in the NT in South Australia, with 5% in the USA. At this point of time, there has been limited engagement from Asia. Again, given the year that 2020 was, this isn't surprising. But given the low-key launch and the zero marketing funding and budget, it's still been insightful. And the little bump right at the end of that graph down the bottom is intriguing and one I'm monitoring closely. For anyone about to embark on a GeoTrail development, these are the lessons I would say are worth consideration. Gather and consolidate your content as early as possible to build a solid concept and prototype. Engage stakeholders early in the design and planning process, particularly along the proposed route, and do not neglect safety considerations nor your risk management principles. Be aware that GeoTrails are a relatively new concept in Australia, so be patient in explaining their worth to your stakeholders. Lastly, if all else fails and you do have the drive and resources to do so, don't be afraid to go alone. But I stress this point, collaboration is always preferred and will result in a much better GeoTrail. For my part, the Darwin City GeoTrail has been a rewarding and satisfying experience, one I'm proud of, and I've learned a lot by doing it. In the Northern Territory, the geotourism movement may be a multitude of quiet voices, or it may track faster as more individuals and organisations see the potential and position into the industry. For those embarking on their own GeoTrail development journey, I wish you all the best, and I thank you very much for your time today. Regards.